Hi there. Welcome back to another episode where this week I will talk about the importance of definition in debate. The reading I read this week focuses on definition, how that impacted the assault weapons ban controversy that has been prominent over the past 3 to 4 decades. So I think we have to start with how to describe definitions in this reading. So definitions are described as the fundamental issues of argument. When we are arguing for something that is serious and important to us, we use definitions to help stress our point. But we don't actually realize the importance of our definitions, because they actually give us an illusion of what we might think of the world. They tend to promote ideological worldviews, also functioning as strategies of social influence and control. And in many arguments, people debate over what is the right definition of something. I think it is important now to go through a bit of history about assault weapons and its initial definition. So initially, they were first coined during World War II to describe the new firearms the Germans were using during that time. And it was used in that same context until about the 1980s, when we started to see advocates who were against assault weapons and they wanted them banned. One of the main guys brought up was Josh Sugarman. His belief was that by banning assault weapons instead of potentially more things like handguns, that it would give them a superior rhetorical position compared to their opponents. And of course, there's oppositions of banning assault weapons, and opposition used the slippery slope argument as a counter towards banning them. It's pretty much the best way you can describe a slippery slope argument is a situation where if you do this one small thing, which may not be that significant, it will have this domino-esque effect where it eventually leads to a very negative outcome, or the worst outcome possible. And so they believe that if you ban assault weapons, it would not just be assault weapons. Anything that they could be described as an assault weapon would be banned. And they eventually feared that the end goal would be hunting rifles being banned, which they did not like. So with a little bit of history about assault weapons and a little bit of history about both sides and what they believe, now I think we need to talk about definition, which is what this reading really focuses on. So like I said already, definition has a lot more of an impact than you think it does. It really impacts arguments. And the challenge in this situation has been finding a definition for assault weapons that accomplishes its underlying meaning, while also fighting for legislation to ban them. And this is a huge challenge because it's impossible to really find one that advocates for a ban that is comprehensive enough to also remove them from the market, which is what they want. Initially, people who advocated for a ban described these assault weapons with their cosmetic features, not really how they worked, but more how they looked like, which was a problem, and it was used by opposition as a counterclaim. But they have slowly shifted to a more operational type definition where how the gun works and its features are more important than how it looks. And we have seen changes. For example, legislators in Washington state responded by increasing the age from which one can purchase one of these semi-automatic assault rifles from 18 to 20. And the definition they gave of an assault rifle was any rifle that uses a portion of energy of a firing cartridge to extract the fired cartridge case and chamber the next round. Another term that was also brought up was persuasive definition, and this was kind of a tough one for me to describe because there's a lot of things about it. But what I came down to eventually was when a definition has a changed meaning but the same underlying goals. So, of course, definitions have changed, as we can see with assault rifles and what they mean, but the same core meaning stays the same no matter what. And something interesting that got brought up was internet searches from 2012 to now, which now in this reading was 2020, so I want to put that out there. And the term assault weapons or rifles were used in about dozens of texts. And in most of those texts, they proposed definitions of what that meant in argumentation forms. Overall, I think this reading was pretty good. I felt like it was a little tough to grasp initially because there's a lot of stuff out there. But I think I eventually got some of it. Definition is important in debate, and I don't think we realize that. I didn't realize that until I read it. Definitions are the fundamental aspects of arguments. We use them in every argument, and what they mean is really important. And for many people, what they mean is very differing. And it can be really hard to find a definition that best describes what you're trying to accomplish. As you can see with assault weapons, the meaning has changed over time. And of course, there's a lot of opposition towards that. Both sides have a very differing viewpoint, and while they have kind of agreed on one, they still disagree on it. How we define things represents what we truly believe. It represents our viewpoint of the world, and sometimes it's an illusion. I think this is something we can apply to many of our arguments, mainly arguments that are more serious and important to us. And it is truly difficult to find that perfect definition because in most cases there isn't a perfect definition for many of these topics. Thank you for listening to this episode. Have a good day.